So I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can you just give a thumbs up if you can hear clearly? Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Trudy. I'm the founding teacher at InsightLA, and this is my beloved husband, Jack Kornfield.
Hi, Trudy.
Happy to be teaching with you
Glad we
today.
can do it since we're living in captivity together. We might as well do something creative, yeah?
Yes. And we actually still like each other.
We do. We even love each other.
So what we're going to do today is some practices to calm our minds, steady our hearts. We're in a really difficult time. This is a hard time. And as Father Greg Boyle, the founder of Homeboy Industries, said the other day, who knew that we were going to have to give up life as we know it for Lent? But that's where we are. Our lives have changed so dramatically that it's hard to believe even a month ago that we were living the way we used to live. And here we are, living this way for now. So we're going to do 4 practices. We will take turns and we'll have time for Q&A. We want you to know, yes, we're still being nice to each other. I even taught Jack something last night. I taught him that you can watch the same funny video over and over and still laugh. So that was, right?
Yes, you did. And it was funny again.
You're like, I've already seen it. I'm like, you can still laugh.
She also taught me how to clean the stove better than I understood.
Yes, I did. Well, do you want to say hi?
Sure. Hi. I'm very, very glad that we get to do this together. The InsightLA community has grown in this beautiful way to bring together people across LA, but more than that, people around the world, and to do these practices, which we have been training in and offering to many, many people in this past week or two, and which we need ourselves. It's really a pleasure and an honor to join you.
So I thought, let's just get all together and sit just for a few minutes to ground ourselves, to really sense the presence of each other. Because even though we are staring at our screens, we actually are all doing this at the same time. In fact, I don't know if this is probably the only time in my lifetime anyway that everybody in the world has been in the same situation at the same time. Okay, there's lots of chats coming in, so I'm trusting that you guys are monitoring those. This session is being recorded. Just Xavier is being recorded, and other people I know want to be sure that that's happening. But I can see, and maybe you can see too, I can see the little red button flashing that it is being recorded. So let's just sit together for a few minutes before we do our specific practices. Just find a place that you can relax, sit back, be comfortable, be at ease. And instead of looking out at the screen, to just shift the gaze so that you're looking down, the eyes are gazing within. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable. And just taking a deep breath in and out. Just drawing in the aliveness of the body, breathing in. And breathing out that calming breath, the relaxing breath. And one more time, breathing in together and releasing any tension that might be in the body, in the heart. Just relaxing, lowering the shoulders. Letting the attention drop from the head into the body. and feeling your bottom on the cushion or the chair, your feet again on a mat or the floor, wherever you're sitting. Getting present in the body. And just being quiet together for a few minutes. Could you all hear the bell? just in case. So I want to talk a little bit about this time before we do our first practice. And it's important, I think, in the face of all of the cancellations and disappointments. Somebody sent me, it was like a little prose poem, and it was called What Isn't Canceled? And it said, love is not canceled. Music is not canceled. Dancing is not canceled. Progress is not canceled. Meditating is not canceled. Dreaming is not canceled. Self-care, walks, cooking, stretching is not canceled. Reading is not canceled. Having fun is not canceled. So just to take a deep breath and remember, not everything is canceled, and some of the most important things to us are definitely not canceled. And I'll tell you a story about this, the most important thing. In 2014, Jack and I were on a humanitarian trip to Myanmar, to Burma. We were visiting different sort of grassroots social service endeavors that were set up, initiatives by brave and creative people, since the government really has no safety net whatsoever for anybody in that country. And so one day we were in Shan State in the city of Lasho, and we stopped at this 4-story building, a kind of yellow building on a dusty street, and we went to visit this place which had been made into a shelter for women who were experiencing houselessness, mental illness, abuse, traumatized women. And it was founded by a nun who was really the most inspiring teacher, one of the most inspiring people we met. And her story was that she had been diagnosed with serious cancer, and terrified of going to a hospital in Burma, she went into the forest and found an indigenous healer and worked with this healer and meditated, as she said, all the time. She meditated through waves of pain and waves of heat and waves of exhaustion, and not just sitting still in meditation like we just did, but being mindful, watching what she was going through, observing her process. And actually, her cancer was healed. And she discovered that she had a huge reservoir of inner strength, and that she could radiate this strength to others and help them just have access to their own strength. So she set up this temple, really, and the women had, you know, little twin beds next to each other with fuzzy fleece blankets on them, and they had one floor was the meditation room, and there they were, all sitting quietly and meditating. And Jack and I, both of us, of course, having a background in psychology and psychotherapy, were just like, how could she do this? How could she bring so many traumatized people together under the same roof to live in harmony and practice meditation, which is, you know, requires, we know, it takes courage to be with what comes up when you're sitting still and alone with yourself in meditation, even when we're in the company of each other, because we're all going through our own stuff, whatever that might be. But she had discovered that reservoir of strength in herself, and she was able to communicate her trust that each of these women could discover the same thing and could find this within themselves. So there they were, living very harmoniously together. We listened to her talk. We visited the whole house. We had a lunch. It was all inspiring. And then we were leaving and we were going down this very narrow flight of sort of rickety stairs. And an older lady kind of cornered me. She grabbed me pretty hard. And she was wearing this threadbare sweater. She didn't have teeth, or at least if she did, they weren't visible. Um, and she was kind of tugging at me, but her eyes were shining. And she had 3 English words that she said to me. She said, peace of mind. And she said it again, peace of mind. To be honest, it was not what I expected to hear from her. I didn't know what she wanted, but what she wanted beautifully, she wanted me to know what she had learned there. She wanted me to know what was most important. And her eyes were shining with that wisdom. She wanted me to know that in the midst of whatever trauma, whatever fear we may be traversing during this time, and there's plenty of it in the surround, that whatever we're going through, we can always find the present moment. We can always find peace of mind, and this can be our refuge. She was reminding me of an essential teaching, and one that we're going to strengthen in our time together today. So the first practice that I would like to show you is to do with you is a practice that is really simple and short. It's something that you can do if you're working at home, if you're parenting. Where else could you be parenting? At home, if you just need to ground yourself, if you just need something that you can do quickly, this is for you. And so we'll do it together. We don't have to do it quite so quickly this right now, but it is basically a practice that you can do in 90 seconds when you, it's an emergency grounding practice, emergency mindfulness. And so it's really, it's to work with the fears that are coming up for all of us. What if I get sick? What if I can't pay my rent? What if I can't keep homeschooling kids and working from home? What if my parents or my grandparents get sick? Can my business recover from this? All the things that are kind of wafting through our minds right now. What we do in this practice, you can sit down. We're sitting, of course, all of us right now, but you can do it standing up. You can do it even walking. And what I'm going to invite you to do is first just acknowledge the fear that may be there. You can place a hand on your heart and just bring attention to the physical sensations that may be happening in your body. And just notice, where do you feel them? Maybe it feels like a pit in your stomach. Maybe your palms get sweaty or clammy. Maybe the jaw tightens or the shoulders tense and raise up. Or the heart feels fluttery. So when you place your attention on the sensations of fear in the body, what you're doing is interrupting the narrative, the story, the repetitious script that accompanies the fear and the aversion to it. I don't want to be afraid. It's scary to be afraid. So with that simple bringing attention to the sensations in the body, you can already reduce the anxiety, the fear, and the what if narratives that Mark Twain described so aptly when he said, some of the worst things in my life never happened. So let's do this together now. First, again, noticing where in your body, if there is fear, where you feel it. And just bring attention to that spot for 10 deep breaths. And you may notice after 3 breaths that your mind has changed slightly. But whatever you're going through, you can survive 10 deep breaths of it. You can feel your feet on the floor or the mat. Just feel the energy of the ground, of the earth, stable and strong. We can take a little extra time just settling into the breath. And if for any reason the breath isn't a soothing subject of meditation for you, just bring attention to the sensations in the hands. And notice when you bring attention to your hands, there is a shift of sensation. You might feel a little bit of warmth or tingling. Just resting, relaxing in this particular moment of your life. Breathing quietly. And appreciating, though they may be very fleeting, but whatever moments there may be of peace of mind, letting that peace and calm radiate through the whole body. Spreading even into the space around the body. And we discover that actually peace and fear can coexist in our hearts, in our bodies, in our minds. They can peacefully coexist. Because when we're being mindful, when we're being attentive in this way to what's happening in our bodies and our minds and what we're feeling in our hearts, that part of us that is paying attention, that is being mindful, and it may just be a sliver, but that part is not afraid. And if you want to do the 90-second meditation once again, taking anywhere from 3 to 10 breaths, knowing that this is something that you can do anywhere, anytime, And when you're done, you'll just be a little bit clearer, a little bit calmer, and a little bit more ready to do whatever needs to be done. So thank you everybody for trying that out. I'm going to turn it over to Jack.
Thank you, Trudy, dear. I feel calmer. It works. It works. Hi, everybody. It's so good that we can gather together in these ways, even virtually. There's something really remarkable about the fact that we've been forced into isolation, that it highlights actually our need and longing for connection. And that we know the further apart we've been set in our own homes, in some way, we also feel the deep interconnection that is who we are, that is our life. So I'd like to build on the practice that Trudy just taught, and these 4 practices will build upon one upon another to take it deeper or extend it in a way. But let me talk a tiny bit before I do that. Here we are, sensing in our bodies, in the field around us, in humanity, the whole global, not only pandemic, but the global anxiety or fears or grief, all of that. It's personal, but it's also quite impersonal in that it's shared by so many. How do we hold this, and how do we care for ourselves? The first thing to remind you of is Mahatma Gandhi, who used to take a day, a week in silence, no matter what was happening, as you've heard the stories, even when he was dismantling the entire British Empire and there would be hundreds of thousands or millions on the street, people getting killed in huge energies of resistance and rebellion. And they would come and say, Gandhiji, you must help, you must help. And he'd say, I'm sorry, today is Thursday or Saturday. Today is my silent day. And he would sit to quiet his mind and listen to his heart and get to that place where he could remember what mattered most to him. And in a breath, we can take a breath and ask, what really matters? And then when he remembered that and could feel that, it allowed him the capacity then to envision and to respond, as we all must, but from the deepest place in himself, that was one of connection and of compassion and love. So this is really what we're doing together. And Trudy and I have been teaching now for the last couple of weeks, busier than we've been in a really long time, the last few weeks. And, on InsightLA website and on mine, there's videos and there's meditations. Trudy and Tara Brock and I did a video on steadying the heart. There's lots of resources. What's important is you find the rhythm for yourself, that you make a rhythm in your life at home that includes time every day, like Gandhi, to quiet yourself. Some of it might also have a ritual to it. It may be that when you notice the buildup of anxiety or grief or other emotions that are difficult, what you need to do is first that 90 seconds of 10 breaths, And then maybe go wash your hands and your face and let your worries also go down the drain. Or as you're sitting, taking the 10 breaths, feel your connection to the earth and let all the tension go down through your body to be held in Mother Earth. Make an altar for yourself and put on all those figures that support you, whether they're spiritual figures like Mother Mary and Kuan Yin, the goddess of infinite compassion, and the Buddha, or whether they're the figures of Marie Curie and Clara Barton or Dr. Martin Luther King or great, physicians and scientists. And every day, go and light a candle or leave an orange or something there, and make a bow and say, will you help me carry all the tears that have come to me through what is happening around the world? And then as you go through the day, when you notice yourself obsessing with worry or fear, you can take a pause, you can acknowledge it with kind attention, and then you can say, I'm going to leave this at the altar. And imagine in your mind that you could take the worries and fears and place them in the lap of the Buddha or Mother Mary to hold for you. I remember walking through the rice paddies with my teacher, Ajahn Chah, early in the morning with our alms bowls on those little dikes between the rice paddies. And there was a big boulder in the field nearby. And he turned to us and he said, monks, is that boulder heavy? And being well educated, we answered, of course it is. He smiled and said, not if you don't pick it up. And there's something in our own hearts and psyches that this speaks to in a deep truth, that we need not carry the burdens of the world and run it through our nervous system and our bodies. We can care for ourselves, we can care for others, but like Gandhi, we can align ourselves with a place that's deeper and steadier and more loving in the midst of it all. And you can begin to trust that this is possible. 99% of those listening and those in the world will get through this, even though it's very difficult and shocking and enormously taxing on our collective care and love and fear, all of those things. We will get through it. And the generations of those behind you, of your great-grandparents and ancestors, and all those who've survived epidemics and floods and tsunamis and so forth, they're all with you. We are a species that knows how to adapt and knows how to survive and knows how to care with those around us. And feel that you're carried in that when you go to your altar, sense that they too are your backup. Now I find when I sit at the end of a day, if I've been busy with other people and teaching and talking, doing all the things that we have to do to tend our lives, I find that when I sit, as Trudy invited us to do, even though I felt reasonably steady and calm, that when I feel more deeply in my heart, I notice that there are emotions of grief or sadness or longing or fear or love or anxiety, much more than I knew were under there. And so in this next meditation, I want to teach you how to pay attention to what's there in your body and heart and mind, and how to tend them using the most powerful of the medicines offered, of the great medicines of the Buddha, which is the power of mindful, loving awareness itself. The power that we have to tend what is happening and to do so in a way that is fearless or courageous, that allows it all and that recognizes that what we are is bigger than that experience. So if you would, let yourself sit again. This time it will be for 15 minutes or so. And let your eyes close gently. You take your seat in the midst of this great mystery, the mystery of life and the mystery of birth and death. And the veils between the worlds have become very thin now, and our sense of separation has dissolved. We know we're in this together. And as you feel yourself seated on the ground, feet flat on the floor if it's comfortable, steady, take a couple of deep breaths. And now bring your attention to the whole field of sensations of your body. As Trudy had guided you to find the places of fear in your body, the fight, flight, or freeze that's gotten activated, let yourself now feel the entire body as a field of sensations. There will be tightness and tension that's carried by the response of fight, flight, or freeze of all these emotions that are stirred up. There will be other sensations, warm, cool, tingling. There'll be patterns of holding. Some are old and some are more recent. Heaviness, lightness, sensations of every kind. And feel the body as an energy field. And now let the strongest sensations connected with fear or sadness, anxiety, hurt, those kind of sensations, let them begin to open as you hold them with mindful, loving awareness and tune into them. Invite them to show themselves to you, to expand, even to intensify, to fill your whole body and beyond it, the room. And with a loving attention, say, let me feel you fully. You can do this. And begin to notice what happens when there's a strong contraction of fear or grief or anger, and you invite it to open and become more intense and show you. For what happens as you do is that as it expands, it will gradually and naturally soften. And as the strong sensations in the body are allowed to open, one at a time, the whole field of body to intensify and open. Notice the softening that comes. And now bring in the quality of compassion to feel them all with tenderness and compassion, like you would hold a child who is struggling, worried. Hold them with that level of tender kindness and say thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for trying to take care of me. And notice the gratitude and how it affects your body to offer a bow of thanks. Say thank you for holding on, for trying to protect me, for going into fight, flight, or freeze. I'm okay for now. I'm okay now. Sense the relief and the ease. Now move your attention up to the area of your heart. And in the same way, notice all the feelings that are present, especially the strong ones. Notice if there's grief. Notice if there's fear. Notice if there's longing or loneliness, uncertainty, love. All the emotions that your heart has been carrying. And hold them with a loving and kind attention. Your heart's been working overtime. And as you hold the feelings, let the ones that are the strongest or the most difficult, the fear, the anger, the grief, choose one and say, whatever is really strong in the heart, let me feel you. Let me feel you fully open. Show me your dance. And allow that emotion or the others near it to fill the body, to intensify and expand as much as it wishes. If you can name it softly, fear, fear, anger, anger, sad, sad. And as you acknowledge it gently, let the sadness open as big as it wants. And as you allow this feeling or these feelings to open, notice how, when given the space of loving awareness to display themselves, they naturally expand and soften. And notice how you can hold them, bringing the quality of compassion. You are the loving heart of compassion, like holding a child who's weeping or upset in terrible ways, angry, frightened, holding all these emotions with compassion. Notice how they respond. Kindness. And say thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me, for holding so much, for caring for me. Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay for now. I'm okay just where I am. I'm okay for now. And feel how around the emotions and the feelings of the heart that there is a space of compassion and steadiness that can hold them all. This is the awareness who you really are, mindfulness itself, consciousness. Trust it. And finally, bring your attention to your mind. In most cases, it has been on overdrive, perhaps chaotic, or perhaps just thinking in circles, busy, worried, planning, remembering, trying to figure things out, trying to make sense of it all, trying to find meaning, trying to organize, all the things that the mind has been doing in response to the situation we find ourselves in together. And feel the energy of the mind itself. Planning, remembering, speeding, confused, and make a bow to it. Name it gently, oh, confused mind, worried mind, name it gently. Planning mind, all those energies spinning mind. And give them space to open, to display their energy to you. So you can hold them with kindness and say, yes, yes, I can feel all of this too. And notice as you honor the speedy mind and the busy mind, and you make space for it to open, even get more intense, display itself. Gradually, the space opens and it softens. There's space around the mind. And you can hold this creative mind with great compassion and say, thank you. Thank you for trying to protect and take care of me. Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay for now. And yes, I can think and plan when needed. But you don't have to go on overdrive. You've done so much work and I'm really grateful. Thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm fine just now. I'm okay. And let the mind relax and know that you trust it and that it can relax and be held in the great, spacious, loving awareness and compassion. That's who you really are. Feel the shift that has happened. Instead of identifying with the body or the emotions or the mind, all of these very human dimensions, you have become the loving witness, the compassionate, loving awareness that can tend your body and hold the emotions of the heart with gratitude. Thank you for trying to hold and protect me. That can hold the busy mind in the space much larger of consciousness itself. This is who you are. You are consciousness, you are spirit, you are that was born into this body and will leave this body. And now you rest in this loving awareness. Relax, steady, compassionate, and trust that whatever arises, you can sit like a Buddha, like a sage, like a wise grandmother in the seat of wisdom and love that says yes, all of this in body and mind and heart. And who I am is the loving witness, the spacious, loving awareness itself. Rest in it. Return to it. Trust it. It is your home. So these are, again, practices that you can use in short or longer forms in the ways that serve you. Hi, Trudy, dear. How did
Thank
that
you,
work?
Jack. Thank you. I don't know. I felt pretty good by the end. So I think it worked. We know that we know these practices work. We're joking, but there is a drawback, which is that they only work if you do them. So that's why we're actually doing them together. And I just want to say it's 7:21 in New York, and my friend Melissa Korn pointed out that the healthcare workers are they change their shifts at 7, and the whole city just sort of gets together to applaud them and cheer for them at the shift change. So they have now, they're all probably suited up and ready, hopefully protective gear, and able to start their shift, their night shift. So I thought, before doing another practice, I think it would be great if people want to get up and stretch a little bit. Just move your body, stand up. Stand up. Anything that you feel moved to do, just stretching your arms up. Oops. Maybe resting on your knees, stretching your back a bit. And then when you're ready, sitting back down. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do another practice, which I will lead. And then after that, we're going to have some time for Q&A to hear from you. And then Jack will lead the closing practice of our time together when that time comes, but we're nowhere near that time yet. So the next practice that I want to do with you, some of us have practiced this together many times, but it's basically a body scan with loving kindness. Sometimes it's called the affectionate or tender body scan. And this is it's a really good one for right now, because it can strengthen our immune system. And it's something we can actually do instead of kind of cowering in fear about this virus. We can actually strengthen our immune system. And Jack mentioned the fight, flight, and freeze reaction rather to fear. But a lot of actually all of the research in the early days of stress reduction was done with men. And that is how men respond to fear. Now, these generalizations according to gender are just what they are. It turns out that men who stay home and take care of children have a response that is a little bit more like the females. So it's not written in stone, these binary gender distinctions, but in general, the hormones that get released in females in stress, in times of high stress, are hormones that encourage connection. They call it tend and befriend, that impulse. And it's an interesting thing. Women are often smaller than the stress that confronts them in the form of another human being, they're taught to sort of lower the temperature of potentially encounters that could lead to conflict. And so I just want to say this tend and befriend is the approach that we're using with the body right now. We know that our immune systems respond to happiness and to peace and to just positive feelings. Not just our immune systems, our very telomeres lengthen. And so this is very good for us physically as well as mentally and spiritually. So for this practice, be sure you're really comfortable. It's fine to lie down unless you are going to fall asleep. I mean, that's okay too, but best if you can actually stay awake. And so just find a place that you're sitting where your back is somewhat supported, or you have a strong back and you're comfortable with it as it is. And it's fine if you get uncomfortable during this practice. It's fine to move. It's perfectly fine. We're just trying to give the body a little love, a little loving care. So in the posture that you've chosen, relax back, just letting your body move back about a half an inch so that you're in this posture of receptivity, receiving the moment, receiving what's happening. And what's happening is we're going to be directing the attention through all the different areas, regions of the body, with an emphasis not just on awareness of the sensations in the body, but of loving and appreciating this body and how it sustains our life. So when you're ready, you can close your eyes, or you can just lower your gaze. And we're going to begin with the head and work down to the feet so that we wind up with our feet very grounded. We're going to start by bringing attention to the whole region of the head. And all you need to do is repeat to yourself silently the phrases that I'm going to offer. I mean, you can change them if you want to resonate, to whatever resonates most with you. But please, especially the writers among you, don't spend the whole time, tweaking and tinkering with your phrases. The idea is, the intention is what matters. And the intention is to plant some seeds of love and caring as we move through the body. So taking a deep breath and releasing. One more time. And once more. Now bringing attention to the head. And you may feel when you hear these phrases that you've sort of landed back in preschool in some sort of time warp. But just bear with me, because I felt the same way when I was taught this practice by a monk who was teaching at the Insight Meditation Society in a long silent retreat many years ago. But when we completed the practice, felt so different and so much better. So let's try it together. Again, bringing attention to the head. May my head be happy. May my face relax and be at ease. May my scalp relax. May my jaw open just slightly to release any tension being held there. May my whole head relax and be at ease. Then moving attention gently into the neck, feeling the front of the neck, the back, the whole neck and throat inside the neck and trachea, the whole neck. May my neck be happy. And bringing attention to the shoulders. Often we hold a lot of tightness and tension in our shoulders. Just offering a little love to the shoulders. May my shoulders be happy. May my shoulders drop down just a little bit and relax. And now moving into the right arm, feeling the upper arm, the elbow, the forearm. May my arm be happy. May my arm rest at ease. And bringing attention to the right hand, to the palm, the back of the hand, the fingers and thumbs, knuckles and the spaces in between. May my hand be happy. May my hand rest. And may my whole arm, elbow, wrist, hand be at ease. And the left arm now, from the left shoulder into the upper arm, moving attention, feeling how is it today, this left elbow and forearm and wrist. We can include the hand, the left hand. May my whole left arm be happy, free from tension. May my hand relax and be at ease. Now bringing attention to the front of the body, to the chest, the belly and the abdomen, the whole front of the body, heart and lungs, belly. May the front of my body be relaxed and open. as I feel the sensations of the breath moving in the body. And bring attention around to the back of the body. Sensing the upper back and shoulder blades, the spine, middle back, the lower back, again, an area which often holds lots of tension. Just feeling the whole back and sending love. May my back be happy. May my back relax and be at ease. Now bringing attention to the bottom and to the whole area of the genitals. May my buttocks and genitals also be happy and at peace. Sending wishes of appreciation and contentment to this whole region of the body. And now the hips, sensing both hips together. May my hips be happy and free from judgment or comparison. May my hips relax and know they are loved just as they are. And then bringing attention to the thighs, the femurs, muscles, skin, this whole region of the thighs. Again, no judging or comparing, just offering some loving kindness. May my thighs be happy. May they be strong. Now moving the attention down to the knees, this complex joint. May my knees be happy. May my knees be well and strong. And my lower legs, the calves, the shins, the ankles. May my lower legs too be happy and strong. And just feeling both legs, the whole legs, appreciating our legs. Sending love. May my legs relax and be at ease. And now moving to the feet, the heels, the tops of the feet, metatarsals, toes, the soles of the feet and arches. May both my feet be happy. May my feet continue to take me where I need to go. And may they relax and rest in ease of well-being. And now gently sweep the attention from head to toe, bathing the whole body in appreciation and love. This body contains all the truths of life for us to discover. It's all here in the changing, shifting sensations, this field of sensation that we call our body. As you sweep your attention from head to toe and back again, feeling the breath in the body, allowing this powerful sense of aliveness, just tuning into the aliveness of the body. And sensing that aliveness radiate through the boundary of the skin, out past this body, a field of aliveness, of strength, health, and well-being, spreading from this body that we call mine, my own, to the space around the body, and to the beings and bodies of those you love. May we and all beings be healthy and strong. May we stay well, safe and well. And may our bodies support the good health of our hearts and minds. May our hearts be steady through all the ups and downs of these days, alone and together. And before we open to questions, I just want to acknowledge, as Jack and I sit here and are at home together, that as as challenging as it can sometimes be, even with somebody we love so much, uh, to be living like this, it's way more challenging when you have active little kids at home or when you're alone at home. And I just want to acknowledge that these practices help in all situations. You may have to do what my daughter has to do to have a private phone conversation, which is lock herself in the closet. But you can do it. You can do it. Try the bathroom if you don't have a closet with a door that closes. Um, but I just want to acknowledge that we are all in very different situations. Some of us are home alone. Some of us are home in not so healthy families. Some of us are working to stay healthy emotionally in our families. And these practices are for everybody, for everybody. So for the question and answer, I believe that given our numbers, it's best if you use the chat raise hand function. Is that good, Martin? And then Martin will scan and find you and call on you. And we'll take turns responding to your questions, and you'll be able to see the person asking the question large on the screen. The person who's talking should be large on your screen. Okay. So we're opening to all of you. So we have set aside this time for you, and I want to encourage you to just ask what's on your mind, because whatever's on your mind, I guarantee you, it's somebody else has that question too. So it's an act of generosity to just ask. And you may not even have a question. It may be something that you'd simply like to share with everybody.
Vincent?
Hi, yes, I really want to thank you for this and for existing and for sharing all this with all of us. But thank you for sharing it with me. It's so profound, because I just started to get involved with this kind of practice in late January, and this is happening now, and this is the thing that it's allowing me to navigate through it. It's almost as if I'm allowing myself permission to be myself and to navigate through it. And I get such beautiful tools from you guys, especially this body scanning was very profound. So thank you for that. And Jack, I've listened to about like 20 of your talks, and you have no idea how much you've helped me. So thank you. And Trudy is my first time meeting you. So thank you. It's wonderful.
Nice to meet you, Vincent. You started practicing in the nick of time, didn't you?
Sure did. And as soon as we're able to move, I'll become a part of InsightLA. I'm in Los Feliz, so I'll be there, but I'll come to you on the west side. But you said something really interesting that grabbed me when we were doing one of the practices. You said, "May my hips be free of judgment," and it just got my attention. And so I like to ask, can you talk a little bit more about what it means to have hips that are free of judgment?
Well, maybe this is more relevant for women than for men. I don't know, but we tend to look at the size of our bodies with a critical eye. We've been conditioned that, thin and slender is good, or whatever conditioning. And but girls as young as 5 years old actually have been known to restrict their food intake or be afraid of getting fat. It's in the culture, and it's worldwide. It's not just our country. So whenever I'm doing the affectionate body scan and I come to a part, it could be the belly, it could be the hips, it could be the thighs, it could be the rear end, it could be, but these areas that we often criticize in ourselves, That's what I say. So that's what that's referring to. Like, just love your body as it is, whatever shape, whatever size, whatever condition it's in. It's our body. It's our aliveness.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Paige?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Trudy and Jack, thank you so much for offering these teachings. I've been listening to your guided meditations at home, and they've been very helpful. My question for you is, what do you recommend in terms of having a relationship to the news? I don't want to stay out of touch with recommendations or what's happening with masks now, or they keep changing and the news keeps changing, but when I read the news, it's obviously very stressful.
Thank you. It's a really important question for all of us. And when we get caught in the kind of cultural anxiety that can feed an unhealthy relationship where we're just checking the news over and over again, and actually there isn't that much news. Unfortunately, the news is painful and hard to bear in some cases. And we could long for and wish for better news, or, better leadership in certain parts of the circumstances, or other things like that. But in fact, you could check the news. I don't know what your sources are. I don't think even watching the news is all that healthy. I think reading is a little easier. You could check the news a couple of times a day for 15 minutes and get the gist of what's happening. If there's a new direction for everyone now, perhaps to wear masks where you are, or other important things. And other than that, it isn't healthy. Pay attention when you open, two things. Pay attention just before you open the news to what's going on in you. And if there's anxiety or fear, or you're trying to distract yourself, notice that and do Trudy's deep breath practices for a little bit and settle yourself. And then ask, do I need the news right now? Because your heart will answer, your body will say, nah, I could put it off and I'll do a little bit later in the day. So it's almost like every other thing that matters to us, there isn't an answer. It means we have to become more mindful and compassionate to our own bodies, and to recognize that things, some of them are healthful and healthy, and some of them are really unhealthy. And you don't want to stay home and just eat ice cream for the next, maybe you do want to do it. I'd like to have chocolate ice cream, for all 3 meals for the next while, but my body says, no, you don't, And so you know already that the wisdom that you are looking for is already there. Good luck.
Thank you.
Danielle?
Yes, can you hear me?
Power cord, Jack. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I was looking for the power cord. Excuse me, everybody. No, it got unplugged.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
I just want to, like everybody else, thank you both so much. It's so exciting to meet you both. I feel like I have you in my living room. So this is
You do.
Well, we're in your living room. You're in our home too. It's great.
like such an exciting moment for me.
And you're sitting right on our desk.
I know, this is amazing. This is so intimate. I just wanted to ask, I'm sitting here with my husband. We have 3 small kids who somehow are occupying themselves right now as we're in here. And it's kind of like, I notice with myself all day, I'm frantic because I'm like, okay, got to get lunch ready. Okay, got to make sure I've watched the veggies. Okay, now I got to go disinfect the doorbell for whoever rang. It's like all day I feel on, or like, now this one needs me. Now this one needs me. And I do take the time to meditate, but I'm wondering if you have any suggestions in terms of, as I'm going through my day, to not be in such an elevated state.
The 90-second practice is really good. And for me personally, people are sending around the funniest videos. And the one that you are making me think of, you may have seen it. It's this woman, and she's saying the things that are all the right things to say. She's saying, we're enjoying our time, this time of all of us getting to be together. And then she holds up a big card that says, help. I want to leave. And I loved, and it goes on like that. She says, you know, we're doing puzzles, and then she's like, I'm cooking and cleaning all day, get me out of here, and so on. And I loved it because it really is both sides. You know, of course you love your family, and it's hellish to be having to be cooped up and do all this work. And, you know, I do recommend, I mean, I did teach Jack how to clean the stove. Sorry, husband,
Better,
I don't know
better.
you, but you maybe already do that. I mean, look, this is something that we also have to remind ourselves that we're here, we have food, we are not, you know, so many of our fellow citizens are facing food insecurity, housing insecurity, everything, you know, people in refugee camps and prisons, incarcerated people. Many people are having a very different experience than we are. And yet, even with our privilege, it's hard. So just, I think, being tender with yourself and forgiving yourself for any irritated outbursts or any, you know, pints of ice cream that you ate all by yourself in the closet, or anything that you have done, to forgive yourself, to be, you know, to offer loving kindness, maybe all day long, like a mantra, you know, but for yourself. We think often when we're angry at our loved ones, we should send them loving kindness, but it's we who are suffering. They're fine. They're just being themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can also, somebody just offered in the chat an idea that we can also send loving kindness to others, people who are in the hospital, who are in trouble. That also, just getting our minds off ourselves really helps.
And not being idealistic.
11 more questions waiting.
Okay, so that, you know, if it's a bit messy, totally fine.
So our next question, please, or our next statement, next person.
Hi, I think I've been given the go-ahead. I'm Gail. I couldn't hear you, Martin. Thank you so much. I appreciated all of this and got into my body in a very relaxed, wonderful way, and that's unusual. But the point that I wanted to make is to you, Jack, particularly about the idea of an altar and asking beings outside in the plenum somewhere to come and help me.
Yeah.
I live by myself. I'm an adopted child. I've taken care of 3 husbands and children, and never really feel like there is anybody to help me, which is kind of a core issue, right? And so just the notion that I could light a candle, and I mean, I have pictures and Buddhas and stuff that I could actually just ask the universe to help me, was a wonderful idea, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And, you know, even with the fact that whether you were orphaned or whatever the history is, the universe actually has taken care of you somewhat. It fed you, you know, when you were helpless and tiny, and it held you in some way. And actually, you present yourself as somebody who's raised children and, you know, done a lot of things in the world, and somehow you are held by the universe, by whatever image, just as you say, and you can let yourself feel that,
Right.
Or collectively. So that's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next person.
Sandy.
Is that me? Am I on?
Oh, it's
Hi.
Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
I just wanted to say how happy I am to see you. That's really it. There were other things too, but I'm going to restrict it to that. It's lovely to see you too. I'm glad that you're well and together and whole and all that. So I'm going to with that.
Same to you both. Wonderful to see you. Thanks.
Okay.
And your dog.
Yeah.
Next person.
Inga or Ingi?
No, it's Inga. Can you
Inga,
hear
okay.
me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, Inga.
Well, thank you for taking my question. I'm old, I'm almost 90.
Wow.
Yeah, well, there you go. I developed psychosomatic earaches when this thing whole started. I had myself checked out, dentist and doctor. And it's been vicious for a half of today again, just the right ear today. I figured it out because I also have a psychological background. It's elective psychosomatic. If I can't hear, I can't hear bad news. It's as stupid as that and as bright as that. So, it makes me think about the many people. I have a friend who has environmental illness. She's always in pain. I think about her. I bless her every day. But there are so many of us out there in pain.
Yes.
And I have trouble. I've been meditating for a long, long time, but I never feel in your beautiful guided meditation, and I use that. I do the body scan. I don't know how to include the suffering people because we're kind of addressing a body not in pain, Trudy and Jack, and I really have trouble with that.
Well, this practice for the body that's in pain, I would do the regular body scan that you learn in the mindfulness-based stress reduction that's available online in many different places. You don't have to take that class. It's available. I have one on our website because that really focuses on awareness of whatever sensation may be present. And it's hard to wish happiness, for example, to a part of your body that's really, really hurting. But you can say, may my ears be free from pain. And that's something that you can acknowledge. The mindfulness body scan, as opposed to the loving kindness one, is really about working with all the different sensations, the whole range of them. And I'm glad you brought that up, Inga. But in the meantime, you can still do the loving kindness meditation for your body in pain, but you can just change the phrase to one that works for you. I mean, making the practice your own is powerful and important. So feel free.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Moishe?
Oh. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you too.
Okay. I have a question. How do I deal with my hate relationship with President Trump? I read stuff and it makes me angry. I end up taking certain things that I thought that make me angry and I send it over to other friends. And I see at the moment I do that, there's a sense of relief when I do that. But in the back of my mind, I know it's not healthy to do that. So it's similar to the news, but specifically as to the anger that I feel as I read the news.
Yeah, hatred is, as you say, it's actually painful, even though you can discharge it and feel a little bit better, just as if you get aggressive, there's a kind of discharge for a little bit, but it actually is unhealthy for your heart and mind and whole nervous system. Trudy and I spent quite a bit of time in these last years with our friend Ramdas, who died in December. And he had this giant altar in his living room with pictures of 100 different saints and sages, Mother Teresa and Ramana Maharshi and Buddha and Kuan Yin and, verses from King Solomon and all these things. And in the middle of that, with all these, first he had a picture of Dick Cheney for a while. That was in the middle of this altar. And then he added our president and various other figures. And he said, you know, this is my practice. I don't want to be engaged, as I feel the same way, in building the field of hatred in myself or others. There are all kinds of things that are being done that cause suffering. And what I find, he found his way. What I find is that there's a kind of metta, and we're going to end this session with a loving kindness in a different way and compassion for those around us. I can say, may you be free from fear. May you be free from hatred. May you be free from ignorance and confusion. May you find peace or love. And I can say that to anybody. I can say it for Bashar al-Assad in Syria. I can say it to those who are causing suffering and really mean it. May you be free from hatred and confusion and fear. And I'm inspired by my teacher, Mahagosananda, who was who is the Gandhi of Cambodia, walking through the countryside, bringing people back to their villages, chanting, hatred never ends by hatred, but by love alone is healed. And these are people who'd suffered enormously. And yet that was the deepest heart response. So you can do that. And as you do it, it will transform you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Nandini?
Yes. Hello, Jack and Trudy. So good to see you and be here with you. I'm also happy to see you both healthy and well. My question has to do with the healthcare providers and those on the front lines. And what I'm feeling most heavy about is probably kind of like the earlier speaker said, some amount of anger and grief over healthcare providers, which my twin sister is one of, a physician, and my brother-in-law and lots of other family members, and feeling that they're being called to do something that they're not really well equipped with protection and so on. I know there's many out there like that, and feeling frustrated that I can't really help. And besides sending loving kindness or holding them in my prayers and heart. So if there's anything that you might recommend where they can actually have a felt sense of our love and compassion and kindness. And that's, I guess that's what I'm really struggling with. I'm really having a hard time with that.
But you're also answering your own question in a way, because when we do radiate loving kindness and compassion and caring, whether it's consciously felt or not, it matters and it has an effect. And, you know, the anger, the rage that I feel too about this is justified, but do know, please know, there are people, this is where the creativity of humanity is really coming in. People are finding all kinds of ways to manufacture this equipment and to get it out there, and it is happening even if our government is not doing it. People are helping each other. And, you know, we're sitting here with our boundless internet access almost, enough space to live. Maybe we have a cushion of savings. Our time is so much different than folks who don't have those resources or who are part of marginalized or targeted communities or who are health workers on the front lines. And so I just think we're all facing all these intense feelings. Honestly, I have felt rage. And I'm going to talk about it tonight if you want to come to the Wild Women group that's meeting at 6, but that's separate. You know, we work with the feelings to metabolize them in our own bodies for the reason that Jack just said, because it doesn't help. It's to free our hearts, because the freer that our hearts are, the more our creativity is accessible to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Abigail?
Hi, Judy. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Abigail.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. So I have an observation. The last 3 days I've been wearing a face mask. And it's interesting because I look forward to my walk, and I'm used to like sort of kissing babies and shaking hands and waving and talking to strangers. And when I'm walking with this mask and I'm covered and my eyeglasses are transitioned, so they look like I'm wearing sunglasses. And if I see someone coming, even a stranger, I can smile. I'm so used to just smiling and acknowledge somebody with my eyes or my smile. So I sort of go like this, but so much is missing that I want to communicate, even to just a fellow, passenger, as someone on the same journey.
No, that's, oh.
Go ahead, Trudy.
I'm sorry, I was jumped in.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're right, because those little moments of positive social interaction, especially for those of people like you who are home alone, they really are good for us. And so I've been doing like excessive waving and saying hi, and especially if it's looks like an Asian American family, I'm just like, hi, and I say something. I mean, what can we do? We are covered up now. So
but it's much our ability to even communicate, the physical distancing, where you think you can at least smile 6 feet away, you're limited.
But people are saying hi and waving back.
Yeah, well, hi guys, hi everybody out there.
Connection. Thank you. Sorry.
Or,
Jack's turn next.
Or sometimes I do a little nod, put my hand on my heart, and they go, "Oh yeah," and that's it. That the smallest gesture makes a difference.
Okay, this question is from the chat box from Doug. A question for Trudy and Jack. Wondering how our mindfulness practice can support those who are now crossing the threshold of death, many who are alone.
It's your turn.
It's my turn? Okay, thanks.
Oh,
no, I'm happy
I can do it.
Well, I'm going to teach a little more, so why don't you do it? Go ahead. You feel like it, yeah.
Could you just say it again? Did you say support the people who are crossing the threshold of death?
Yeah.
Was that the question? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. One of the tragic things about this situation is that when people are dying of this virus, they are in isolation. And so we can't be physically present with our loved ones who are in the hospital in isolation. And even I have one friend in New York who survived and came home from the hospital and still had to be in isolation. And this is very difficult. The best way that we can support people, we're coming back, I think, to the same answer each time, is through our own practices of equanimity, of loving kindness, of compassion. And the steadier and more stable and strong that we can be as somebody's life, as somebody put it very poetically, is ebbing away, just finding some way to let them know that we are being with them. We don't have to do anything, just to be. And for people to know we are with them in spirit, even if we can't actually hold a hand or be right next to the bed as we would long to be. So thank you. And Jack I want to, we still have lots of people with their hands raised. And what I can say is that we'll be back, because I want Jack to have time to lead the practice that he wants to offer to us in closing today.
Thank you, dear. So again, take a breath. These are profound questions that are being asked from everyone. And you also can hear underneath the question about hate, the question about grief for loved ones that you can't help, and so forth, that underneath all of these is love. You wouldn't hate if you weren't concerned and loving and wanting things to work for people. You wouldn't feel grief. The size of the grief is really the size of the love that you have. So under this is the field of love that we were born into. When a baby is born, our first response is love. And when someone dies, as Trudy was just talking about, we try to hold their hands, or in this case, we hold their hands in our heart, and our gesture is love. Timeless love and awareness is who we are. Now, with the kind of questions that have come also, we offer this as a practices to steady the heart, as Trudy was saying, because when you can do this in yourself, then you can actually attend to the world around you in a very different way. And in Zen, they say there are only two things. You sit and you sweep the garden. And it doesn't matter how big the garden is. That is, you quiet the mind and tend the heart and listen deeply. And then you let yourself respond from that place of stillness and loving awareness. And intuitively and naturally, you bring yourself back to sweep the garden, to care for the garden of this world. Also, it's very important, even as the field of anxiety, and now it starts to turn as well into grief, as that grows, to recognize that it's not the end of the story. You are like the mother of the world, holding the world in your heart. We're all a part of her heart, endowed, as it says, with a certain measure of cosmic pain and extraordinary beauty. And this is what it means to be human, and called upon to hold it all with compassion and care and with love. Suffering isn't the end of the story. We will get through this. It will take its time and will take its toll. But at the same time, look out your window and see the plum blossoms. Notice if the crocuses are beginning to bloom in your neighborhood. Listen for the bird songs. Write a poem. Send a cartoon, a funny thing. Listen to music that touches your heart. Remember to nourish your humanity and feel the blessings of the earth as spring comes in this northern hemisphere. Feel this as well, running through your veins in your body, because this is a great difficulty, but it's not all of who we are. So let your eyes close gently. We'll do a bit of a form of a metta, loving kindness and compassion practice. And people have asked as we've gone along, what about the first responders who don't have protective gear? And that's true in my family as well. What about our friends, and we have them, who are in the hospital, who are sick? What about our own bodies when we get sick? How do we respond, and how do we extend our caring? Let your eyes close gently. Take a couple of breaths and center yourself. And begin again with a bit of loving kindness and compassion for yourself, that you continue to be steady in the midst of that which surrounds you at home, in your extended family, in the community, and beyond. If you like, you can even put your hand on your heart. May I be safe and protected and well. May I be tender with the difficulties. May I be loving and strong. And feel, as you invite these qualities, that same field of loving awareness in the body scan from Trudy, that you can hold yourself with tenderness and courage and compassion. May I be tender with the struggles, the illness, the pain, and difficulties I carry. May I be safe and protected. May I be well. And may I be loving and strong. And now let yourself envision someone that you care about, maybe someone you know who's on the front line, or a family member that you feel is vulnerable, someone that matters to you. And let your heart extend this same field of compassion, loving kindness. May you too be safe and protected. May you stay well. May you hold all your difficulties with great compassion and kindness, with a tender heart. And may I, when I think of you, hold you in my own tender heart. May you be strong and loving. And sense somehow that there's a field of connection, just as if you play a violin and there's a violin seated, a second one on the table, that the strings of the violin on the table will resonate with the string that's bowed in your hands. Imagine and envision that their body and heart can feel the resonance of your strength and compassion and love. And now let the compassion and loving kindness of the heart grow bigger, knowing that suffering is not the end of the story, but that love is. And allow a sense of beauty and tenderness, mercy to spread out from you. And think of all those who are lost or sick, frightened, family members, with friends, parents and children, those in your community, those singing from the balconies and making art. And feel how you're a part of the web of life, apparent more than ever. Now is the time to reimagine the world. And lift your hands 8 or 12 inches either side of your body as you listen just now. And imagine as you do that you're holding the hands of 2 of your most beloveds, who you care about, who inspire you. And imagine that they are holding the hands of other beloveds in a circle that extends, and other friends and beloveds. And that they're holding the hands of the first responders and the caretakers, and of those who are ill or frightened. And as you extend your hands, now feel yourself in a great circle of connection. with humans, with beings everywhere. May you all be safe and protected. May you all stay as well as you can. Care for yourself and others. May you all be tender with our difficulties and with one another. And may you all stay strong and loving, loving and strong. And in this great circle of compassion and care, with you seated in the center of it, everyone seated in the center of it, holding hands together, let yourself set an intention, an aspiration, a vow. In this time, we know how to do this. We're born with a great heart. O nobly born, begin the Buddhist text. Remember who you really are. And set your highest aspiration for yourself, your most beautiful intention of how you might live through this time and offer your gifts, whatever they are, to the well-being of all. And with this circle of love extending to all, and your heart's deepest aspiration or intention, carry this well-being in your cells, in your nervous system, in your psyche, in your heart, and let it steady you, hold you, and hold us all together in this time. And Martin, you have the last words here, please.
And I just want to say, for people whose questions did not get answered, like Rick and Michelle and others, it's difficult for us to look at the chat thread while we're teaching. So come back tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, and bring your questions.
Thank you so much, Trudy and Jack. That was so beautiful. Just wanted to let you know, as Trudy mentioned, if you had questions that didn't get to be answered, that Trudy will be doing the Sunday sitting group tomorrow morning. And in the chat box, you see some opportunities to catch Trudy again. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. On Thursday, she'll be doing a series in the evening called Home Together. On Friday, she's doing a special conversation with Sandra Oh, Friday night. That's all in the chat box. And also tomorrow afternoon, for those of you who are in the home with people, there's an event with Oren Sofer on mindful communication in close quarters. So if you want to... Oh, and tonight, Trudy is doing the Wild Women group. So please check the website calendar for upcoming events. We've got a lot of wonderful things going on. And I just want to thank you again, Trudy and Jack, for taking this time with us. And for all of you who've made donations, all of the revenue today was a fundraiser for InsightLA to cover its costs. Like all of you here, we are in a difficult place because we had to close our centers temporarily, but we still have those bills to pay. So your generosity is really appreciated, and just thank you for donating today to help our teachers and our staff and our centers stay afloat, and we can offer these community events that are accessible to all. So thank you again for making this possible.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
And I want to give a shout out to Martin and to Mark, our directors, and to Anissa, our team, our wonderful team, everybody at InsightLA who is making all this possible. We just are so grateful to you.